Well, good afternoon and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Peter Frank and I'll be leading our session today. We're going to be doing a basic introduction to Church360 Unite. Church360 Unite is our church website builder, and we've got a lot of material to cover, so I'm going to try to get through it all. If I talk too fast, just put a note in there telling me to slow down. I get excited about Unite because it's such a fun application. It's kind of like a playground for me. I'll explain why in a second. So again, my name is Peter Frank. I am the Senior Manager of Concordia Technology Solutions, and I've been with our group for about 6 years, which is longer than we've had Church360 Unite. So Church360 Unite launched, I believe, in April of 2013, shortly after I started. So I've been with it since the beginning, certainly not since the beginning of development, but since we started introducing it to customers. So I have a pretty good knowledge of everything that goes on within Unite, so feel free to ask me any questions throughout this or after the webinar. Now, my contact information is on the screen. Email is the best way to get a hold of me, but my phone number is there as well, and that takes you to my office phone, which I always like to double check is on forwarding, so don't call me now. It'll go right to my voicemail. But I do appreciate you being here today because I love talking about church websites. Church websites are one of the first ways that I felt like I really was involved with helping my church. Back when I was a young teenager, I couldn't even drive yet, but I enjoyed building websites, and our board of PR communications at the time invited me and another teenager to help build our church's first website. This was back in right around 2000 or so. So websites had been around for a little while, but were not common. And so since then, web design and that idea of helping a church communicate online has been a passion of mine. And so now I get to do it as part of my job. All right, well, let's talk about what we're going to go through today with a few housekeeping items first. I've got about 50 minutes prepared for presentation. Now, I have more than enough material to cover the whole hour. I like to set aside 10 minutes for questions at the end, but I'm willing to go into that time if there's not questions or not enough questions. And I kind of judge that based on if you've asked questions throughout and they filled up my queue. So we'll test that out in just a minute so that I know, I'm sure you know where they are or where to go to ask the question. But feel free to ask throughout. I may not answer it when you ask it, but it'll be waiting for me at the end. Lastly, we are recording this webinar and we will be sharing this after the fact. If you are watching this after the fact, welcome and thanks for watching. I'm sorry you couldn't be here live, but the only disadvantage to that is you don't get to ask the questions live. You can certainly still ask the questions after the fact. And something through like my email, or we'll share email information for the rest of my team later on. All right, a little bit about us before we get started. We are Concordia Technology Solutions. We are the church administration division of Concordia Publishing House. Now, we go by the church or Concordia Technology Solutions because churches don't often think of publishing house and websites. So that's why we go with that brand, but we're one and the same. We've been developing software for churches since 1984. So this is our second iteration, or iteration is not the right word, second product for church websites or online communications. So we took a lot of what we learned from the first one, applied it here, and really took it to the next step, changed the purpose to be all about websites and not just communication, but having that online presence. So I'm excited to share that with you today. A little bit about Unite. It is the church website builder that's part of the Church360 suite, which also includes Church360 members and Church360 Ledger. Now, if you were on the webinar with me yesterday, like Timothy was, I know he's watching now, we talked about Church360 members, which is online church management software. Tomorrow, almost the same time, I think we'll be at 1 o'clock again tomorrow, is Church360 Ledger, which is our church finance software. So those three things work well together. They also work well apart. So don't feel like you have to have all three of them to take advantage of it. The benefits are greater when they're together, but they're all great by themselves. So Church360 Unite, like I mentioned before, is a church website builder, which severely undersells what Unite is. So let me talk about a few of the things you can find in Unite. It is, of course, your church website, but it's also your blog, your member hub, where members can log in and interact. They can share files with each other or store files for use later. It's your church calendar, your master church calendar as part of your website, but also your member hub. So it can have both private and public calendars. and it's a place where you can go to send mass email. Now, there's a lot more uses that you can use these tools for. This is just kind of a high level, and I'm excited to show you some of those use cases. All right, so we call it Unite because it unites all of these different ideas together into one central location, one tool that you can learn how to use for your congregation. A few of the basics. First off, all of our themes are mobile accessible. Now, you can't edit your site from your phone, but you really don't want to because you want to do it in an environment where you can utilize all the tools. But your visitors can all see a very nice mobile site if you're using one of our themes. It also syncs with your CHMS, which for those of us in the industry is church management software. Now, obviously, you've already heard about Church360 members, but many of the people in our audience are also our Shepherd staff customers and maybe not Church360 members customers. Unite works with both of them very well. So you can sync your members from Shepherd staff with Unite. And with members, Church360 members, you can not only sync your membership, your people information, you can also sync your calendar. So there's a lot of benefits to connecting your church management software. Now, we do provide daily backups, so you don't have to worry about storing this information elsewhere in case something happens. It's really for those in emergency situations, and we've never had to pull a backup because there's never been an emergency, which is a good thing. That's how the product should be. It should be stable. We also provide support and training for Unite, and that's one of the real benefits of using a system like Church360 Unite, as opposed to something that you might build on your own or a volunteer at your church might build on your own. Because if the person who's in charge of the website leaves, you've got a team of people here at Concordia who can help the next person get up and running, even if that's not you. Even if you're the one who's moving away and you can't train the next person because no one's volunteered yet, our team can do that. And so it really provides that long-term solution for your church. Okay, a few assumptions that I like to make with every webinar. For this webinar, I'm assuming you're at least familiar with church websites and some of the best practices. I'll mention a few as we go, but that's not really what the topic is about. So if you've never seen a church website before, this may not be the webinar for you, but I'm guessing since you're here, you're at least familiar with church websites. I am assuming that you're completely new to Church360 Unite. Now, if you are an experienced user, you may pick up a few things here and there from the presentation, but I'm really presenting this today for those people who have never used it before. So that's kind of the basis for how I set up the outline and the information that I'm sharing. So it'll be basic, like the title is, basic introduction. So I hope that scared off any of our advanced users, but that's okay, anyone's welcome. All right, and I'm also assuming you're extremely busy, and this is just a common assumption I make about church workers. It really just gives me the opportunity to tell you if you need to step away, don't worry, we'll send the recording later on. So obviously the work of the church is all about word and sacrament and not about websites. Websites support that, but word and sacrament is the key. And so I know as things come up, those are the more important things in your day-to-day. So just watch this later on. We're also recording so you can share with somebody else too, in case they were too busy to attend, which I know is often the case. All right, well, next I want to ask a little bit about you who are attending here today. We've got a good group here. What I'd love to hear is, first off, your name and where you're from. And this gives you an opportunity to test the chat and make sure that I know you know how to ask questions. So if you look in there, you should see a single field where you can type in a question. Go ahead and put in your name and your location. Just city and state is fine. You don't have to type out your church name unless you'd like to. So it looks like Timothy's found out where it is. Timothy's in Gorham, Maine. And welcome again. Thanks for being here a second day in a row. Hopefully the rest of you can find out where the chat is. I'm a little worried because I know we've got several people here. So go ahead and put that in. And while you do that, I'll explain the next question I've got for you. So there's Rick from Jacksonville, Florida, Gertrude from New York. There we go. Now we've got people coming through. Thanks so much for doing that. All right, the next question I have for you as others come in is to find out what role in the church you have. So let me go ahead and post this question. Select the option that most closely describes your primary role at church. Ordained pastor, administrator, tech coordinator, called church worker, or other. And if you put other, I'd love to hear what that is. You can just drop that in the chat as well. but Pastor Pat from Jacksonville is here too. I'm guessing that he's with Rick. And then Ed from Massachusetts. Chelmsford, sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly, but Ed from Massachusetts, that's better. Great. So feel free to continue submitting that. Looks like we've got a large group of pastors today, so that's very good. I'm glad to have you here. We've also got some tech coordinators, but that pretty much makes it up. I've never had this many pastors in one thing before, so fantastic. All right, well, let's move forward. The outline for today is as follows. First off, we're going to do an overview of the tools. We're not going to get into great detail about each one, but we are going to have some practical examples as we go. And so I've got this outline of all the highlights, and with each one, I'll show a little bit of an example of how to use it, and then we might talk about some other ways. Finally, at the very end, we'll take question and answers. So again, please feel free to submit them in there. And I can see there Ed's a council member and committee member, so thanks for putting that in there, Ed. You guys all know where to put them now. So as you have questions, put them in there. And if I don't get to them before the end of the presentation, I'll get it to them in the Q&A time. And if I still run out of time, I'll email you afterwards. All right, well, let's move forward to talk about the key areas that we're going to be looking at. First off, we're going to talk about themes and styles, the look and feel of your site. We make that really easy through themes, but then you can customize it for your church through the different presets, the different customization options, and also styles. Then we're going to dig into how to update a page and what and how to use a feed. That's a different type of page, which is a very powerful tool. Next, we'll look at calendars and events. So again, I mentioned your master church calendar. You can put all your events on there and choose the privacy settings for them. Then we'll look at users and member-only tools. Church360 Unite is unique in that all of your members can create accounts, or you can invite them to create accounts, and then they can log in, see members-only things. We'll show what those are. Lastly, we'll look at things like directories, how to use the member directory and help people update their information, how to participate in groups, and then mailing lists. I'm back on Church360 members with mailing labels. Mailing lists, how you can email lists of people directly from Unite. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Now, on our website, I want to point out that we have examples of all of the different themes that you can take a look at and kind of see how we suggest you might use them. And there's plenty of different ways. These are just single examples there. But what I did today is I went and clicked Start Free Trial. And if you haven't done this yet, I encourage you to do that. Click Start Free Trial, and then you would fill out this form. You've got 30 days to use this, and it gives you access to all the tools. You're just limited to the number of administrators, people who can do everything, and the amount of files you can store up there. So what'll happen is then you'll get an email that'll look something like this. Good, it's coming across. And when you click Set Up Your Site Now, it'll take you to this screen, and this is where we'll begin today. So I'm going to go ahead and put in my password. My first name, last name, and email are already pre-populated, and I'll hit continue. While we do that, I'm going to close my email so I don't get notifications while I'm presenting. That's always a little bit annoying. And I'm just going to put in some basic information for me. So this is my information. I would suggest putting in the church information, but I just like to have something in there. All right, we'll go ahead and continue on. The next thing, and this is really where our church focus comes into play, is we have some suggested site maps for you. A common question that we have is, well, what do I put on my site? I don't even know what to include on my church website. Well, we give you a few examples. So member focused, visitor focused, or mission focused. Member focused is an example of different pages where it really revolves around internal communications, and visitor focus, as you might expect, is external communications. Now, mission focused, which we should all be, but our website being mission focused is all about teaching our faith. So that is also good for visitor focused, but sometimes the emphasis is about welcoming people into the community first, and then teaching about the faith. So each church has a slightly different emphasis, but they're all there. All of the main information you need is there. So I'm going to start with a blank slate today. And I do that only because it's a training. I don't like to clutter up with too many different options. I really want to highlight the things that I add. And you can do that as well. If you've already got an idea, don't worry about starting off with one of these site maps already in place. Just do the blank slate. All right, so we'll hit continue and it'll prepare my site. Now, the next thing that I'm going to get to do is select my theme, and you can see they show up here. And this gives me a chance to preview all of the different things. They're very basic. There's not a lot of content. And one thing I should mention is I'm zoomed in today for your benefit, so it's going to look a little bit different than on your screen, which might be zoomed out a little bit. But you can click through and see what some of these are. The colors, the images, those can all be changed, so don't feel like you're locked in. Look really at the structure of the site, where the navigation is, how the buttons look. You know, like here under modern, you've got kind of rounded navigation. If you go to module, you've got these a drop down at the top. If you go to ribbon, you can see that there's a lot of space for customization, different colors. Wonderful cross, that one has a big image in the background. So there's lots of different options. My personal favorite, and the one we're going to use today because it's so clean, is material. So I'm going to select material and click finished. And now it will finalize my site and show up with it already logged in because I created an account. And this is what I've got now. So as you can see, there's the zoom in has caused my long church name to go over there. That's probably not the best option if I've got that long church name because of the search showing. So something to keep in mind, but that's all right. Let's go here and I'll zoom in a little bit more. And I think when I'm signed out, that disappears as well. So I'm going to show you what this top bar is first, and then we'll dig into some of those details. So this top bar is only available in its entirety to administrators. Administrators is a type of role that gives you access to everything. And then you have different roles as you go down from there. And I'll explain those later. But if you're logging into your site and you don't see everything, that means that you're probably not an administrator. So up at the top, you have pages, posts, activity, users, themes, and settings. Now we have this set in the order that people most commonly use these tools, which means that the ones that we're going to start with are going to be on the very right because these are the initial setups. Once you do this, you don't really have to touch those again. So we're going to go to settings first. Now when I click on that, it covers the screen, and if I want to X out, there's a little X up at the top here by settings. That can be a little bit hard to find initially, but it really saves on space in that it takes up your screen. You got a lot of real estate to work with. So this first view tells you what information about your church you already put in, and you can update it from here. This will flow into different areas of your site, so make sure that's accurate. Next, you have the opportunity to add or modify calendars. Now, calendars, once you set them up, probably don't change too much, but it's important to have a strategy going in. We'll talk about this a little bit more when we get into calendars. So just know that that's here, and when you go into there the first time, you'll want some sort of strategy, but you always have the opportunity to change it later on. All right, next up, we have domain. Now this can kind of be a little technical, a little confusing if you're not familiar with how domains work. Domains are your website address, your URL. And for initial users, for trial users especially, you have what's called a subdomain. So in this case, I created a subdomain. So my website address, and you're welcome to follow along at home if you'd like, is webinar 2018-08-01.360unite.com. Now, this won't be up there forever. It's just a test site as we do the demonstration today, and you won't be able to log in. I'm not going to invite you all to log in right now. Otherwise, we'll all be updating the site on top of each other. But that is my website address, which is a little bit bulky, obviously. Ideally, you'd have something like www.mychurch.com with insert your church name under my church. You can set that up by yourself using a different tool, or if you have our advanced or premium plans, we'll take care of that for you as part of the cost. You can also purchase that separately through us, although we're one of many tools, so don't feel like you have to do that through us. All right, so that's that. Then Google Analytics, which is a fantastic free tool provided by Google that gives you probably more reporting than you'll ever need for your website, is something that we allow you to easily integrate with. We have not built in reporting to Unite because analytics, Google Analytics, is so much better than anything we can do. So you can do that. There's instructions on how to get started. That's a little bit more advanced. We're not going to get into that today. And finally, integration, which is allowing you to integrate with Shepherd staff. If you're integrating with Church360 members, that is automatically set up based on your subdomain. So don't worry about setting anything up with that. Shepherd staff's a little bit different. We put all the instructions there. So that's just a high-level overview of the settings. Again, you're not going to be in there too often. All right, next we're going to go to themes. Now, when I first set this up, I had the option to choose from one of our 12 themes, and it gave me the default option. But we also have what's called presets for every theme, which are different colors. So once you pick a theme, you can always pick a different theme. You're not locked into that. So you can go under themes and browse and select the one that you like best. So under material then, I've got all these different options, and they're a little bit small. They're hard to see. So if you want to just press and click and hold, it'll zoom in and display a higher res example. So not high res, but higher res. It's enough to just get a flavor for what's going on there. So you can see that. All right, let's go with that red one actually. That's nice. I'm going to go ahead and hit apply theme. And as soon as I click apply theme and close it, it's updated on my site. So just wanted to point that out, that you have that option there to go and see it before we come back in here and customize it even further. So styles is probably going to be used far more than customize, but I'm going to go to customize first because that really helps decide the rest of the colors of your site. So you can see here that you can do header colors or like sidebar border. Those are things for groups. You can also put a banner in there or change the heading font. I'm going to go ahead and hit browse. And this is the file selector. So nothing's uploaded yet, but I'll go ahead and click upload. And then we'll go, good, I already got in my Unite webinar and I'm going to put my logo in there. We'll see how this looks. It should be white on red, save. There we go, it's a little off-centered. There's tools that you can use to fix that. Oops, I didn't save my changes. Go to customize, browse, select, save changes, save changes. All right, let's see how that looks. Yeah, it's a little off-centered. That's okay. I won't adjust that right now. I can always do that later. All right, so next I'm going to go to advanced. Now, advanced gives you open spots to enter in different code. Now, you say, well, I don't know code. I'm a church worker or a pastor. I know we have so many pastors joining us today. That's okay. You don't have to worry about that. It works well with a lot of other tools online, third-party modules or things that you can plug in there. There's a lot that could be custom coded. But if you don't know code, it's really hard to figure out where to put it in the code if we gave you access to all the source code. So we just give you access to a few key places where you can drop code in based on instructions of other sites. And if you're hesitant to do that, talk to our support team. We're happy to help. Now, if you do know code and you want access to all the source code, we're not hiding that from you intentionally. You can go under edit, clone your theme, which gives you basically a duplicate. So you can always go back to the original and you can access all the code and change it however you'd like. So we just know that that's scary for a lot of people and we don't want to make it accidentally accessible. So it's very intentional. You go and clone the theme, do a new name for your new theme, and then you can modify it if you know how to do that. If you don't know how to do it, it's going to be far more complicated than you're going to want to spend time on, at least on a normal day. All right, let's go up to styles. So part of the theme is how the text appears on the page, and that is through styles. Now, a style sheet is a way to dictate what different types of styles look like on every single page. And so if you want to change a style somewhere, or if you want to change like the overall style, you change it in one place, and it flows out to all these others. So you can see heading 1, heading 2. We also have inline styles. I'm going to go ahead and add a style and say, let's call this an inline style, and we'll call this emphasis. And maybe we'll keep the font family the same, but the style we're going to change to normal italics. And then we're going to change the color to kind of a bright blue. There we go. You can still see that. And maybe text decoration. Nah, I'm not going to do any text decoration. So it's just going to be blue italics, and that's going to be what I use to emphasize things. So we'll click Save. And now, when it refreshes, I have that emphasis style. And I can create as many styles as I want, and I can use them how it works best for my site. All right, so we'll come back to that later on when we're editing text. But that's essentially themes. Now, as I go back and close this, that's just a part of how to make your website look good. But the most important part is the content you put in that. And so that's why we're going to go to Pages next. Now, pages obviously are the core part of any website. Now, we start off with 3 pages for you when you use the blank template. So there's Home, Calendar, and Members. Well, Calendar and Members are 2 specific types of pages. We'll get into those in a little bit, but we've got Home right here. Now, you might want to have something for first-time guests. In fact, I really recommend you do that. So what I'm going to do is create a new category that says, I'm new. And a category is a group of pages. It's a drop down to see more pages. Now we're going to add another page. Add page here, and we're going to call it blank page. And we'll call it, let's see, service times. And now this shows up under my available menu items. It's not going to be in the navigation right away, but I can drag and drop it here. And I'll click Save Changes and just show you what that looks like. So I'll close out of Pages, and there's my I'm new and service times. Now you may say, wow, that's really fast. What if I don't want that to show right away? Well, don't worry, it won't show for other people. You see, I have this set to draft. It automatically sets it to draft when you first add the page. And so you have to publish it first before anyone else will see it, other than other administrators. Other administrators will see it. Also, that I'm new category, if there are no pages that are visible underneath it, will disappear. So you can set up your entire site before turning it live, get it just right, then go publish all your pages, and then it'll be okay. And to do that, you can go down here, first select the page, go down here and click Publish. And now that draft tag will disappear. Now there's another cool thing that you can do that is a different level of visibility, and that's public versus private. Now by default, pages are set to public, but if you want to hide something, and I don't know why you'd hide your service times, but we'll use this as an example, you can click private and it'll make it members only. Now you'll see that the member directory that says members there is always going to be members only. So you don't have to worry about making that private, because we never want to show members' contact information publicly. So we don't even let you make that public. But your calendar is always going to be public because you have different rules that apply to that. So really this public and private part are all for just pages or feeds. We'll talk about that in a little bit. You can also duplicate pages there. If you want to clone something, create a different version, you can use that duplicate right there. All right, I'm going to go ahead and make that public again, and I'm going to save this, and then I'm going to close out of here because we're going to get into how to edit a page. So this is our home page here. It's got some basic information that we've already plugged in. On the far left, I have an edit page button. And when I click edit page, the sidebar, and for you it's this side, comes in from the left-hand side of the screen and gives you some different options. The first thing you've got is layouts, and these are boxes on how to arrange your content. So you can split your content in half. You can do greater on the left side. You can do greater on the left side and something on the top, or something on the top and greater on the right side. Or my personal favorite for home pages is something on the top and then 3 columns underneath it, all equal sized. That's what I'm going to go with right now. Now the home page is published just so that your site goes somewhere when people go to it. So just be careful here with your home page. You can put in your page title, which will show up in the navigation, and you can put in your page meta description, which won't show up anywhere, but search engines will display it in the search results. So if you want to describe your page in a few words, 60 words or less usually, you can show that in something like Google, and that'll describe what the page is. If you don't put in a description, it's going to find the first copy on the page, which for right now would be your address or your navigation, which isn't great. So I recommend filling that in. That's very helpful to help people click on it in search results. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and save that so that my layouts lock in. And I really just want to do that to show you the saved bar. Make sure you're saving your pages as you go. It's so easy to go in here and edit that you might forget to have saved something and then lose it when you close. It doesn't actively save. It only saves when you click save, the save button. And that's specifically so that you can choose what to save. All right, so I'm going to close out that green thing there and start editing the content. When I click in one of those boxes, I get what we call the editor bar. Now the editor bar looks just like a word processor, or maybe what your email looks like. You'll be familiar with most of these things. There's pasting text or pasting from Word. There's like bold, italics, underline, strike through, numbered list, bulleted list, left align, center align, right align, justified, indent, block quotes. You don't often see those elsewhere, but that's a cool additional feature. But then you have things like anchor and links, which are probably not commonly used in word processing. Certainly links are used in things like emails. Image, audio, video, or source code, if you want to insert or embed media, which basically allows you to put source code in there. Source code is another button where you see the entire source of the cell. Line break, special character, table, group widget, we'll look at that maybe later on. Then you also have your styles. So if I wanted to put something in here like my church website, I can just type it in, change the style to like a header 1 or a heading 2, and it'll look like that with all the appropriate spacing. Now, what I really want to do for this is actually delete all the copy and go and insert an image. So I'll click up image properties, I'll go ahead and upload. And here's my image that I already made. I used a tool called Canva to make this. And I'll put it in there and see how it looks. Not bad, a little stretched. So I'm going to double click it. This image is larger than the image space, but it kind of constrains it in the widths. So I'm going to remove the height and change the width to just be 100%, whatever it should be, 100%. Oops, and I forgot to lock the aspect ratio. 100%. There we go. Click OK. There, that doesn't look bad. It's very big because I've got my screen zoomed in, but it should look decent for you. And then if I wanted to, I can link this image to something else. Now, I don't really have anything else on my site to link it to. I will just, let's see, link it to a page or feed in my site, just service times for right now, and click OK. Now I can add other images later on. We'll see if we have time. I'm going to click save. Hopefully you get the gist of how to add an image to your site. What I am going to do is copy and paste some information here. So I'm going to go ahead and copy. I have a Word document open over here. I'm going to paste the information in, and I'll change this to a heading 3 and center it. I'll center this too. So you can start making these things a little bit nicer just by copying and pasting text in, or just writing it. All right, we'll change that into a header 3 as well, and we'll center everything. Now, if I wanted to, and I highly recommend doing this, you can add a link to this section. You should always have links that take people different places. Otherwise, it's just information on a screen and it starts to look more and more like a newspaper. So we could do something like learn more and do a little arrow to say, hey, when you click on me, you're moving forward. And I'll just click link here and link to a page or feed in my site. And I'll just also send that to service times since I don't really have many other pages. All right, so I can just click save here. Close out of the edit mode. Not a complete site, but it shows you how easy it is to quickly add copy, add links to it. And we've only been going, we're about 35 minutes, and I've done a lot of explaining about things. So this is pretty easy. This link will take you to the next page. Very good. So that's pages. Let's talk about feeds. Under pages, up at the top, and add a new page, you can add feeds, which are a type of page. So feeds can be used for things like blogs, news and announcements, prayer requests. It's syndicated content, meaning the most recent content is showed at the top. So it's like a news source or a blog where the most recent information is always at the top, but the information you've posted on other posts continues to stay live and stay beneath it. So I'm going to just put news and announcements and move that over here and make that public and click save. There's news and announcements. When I click on it, now it gives me kind of a different experience. It says RSS feed. There are no posts to this feed. So if I click edit page, I get a new set of options, URL being one of them, news and announcements, meta description, but then how many posts per page? Do I show all of the post content? Do I allow comments? Do I moderate comments? All of these are different options for you. And again, they kind of revolve around this concept of blog, but we don't call it blog because it could be used for a number of other different things. All right, so what I want to do is introduce our new Bible study. And we'll put the title of it, kind of a catchy subject line. It's not the title of the Bible study, but it's that God's word is filled with paradoxes. We'll post the information there. And this is just straight from CPH's website because I'm going to add an image straight from CPH's website as well. This is a free image we offer for people who are starting this new book. I'll go ahead and upload it, and we'll put that in here. And then from the beginning, I'm going to select it, go to advanced. We're going to do 100%. Remove the height, lock the aspect ratio, click OK. Yeah, that's big. Faith that sees through the culture. So you can see that is a new Bible study. So we will go ahead and create this post. And then I can click on the post, change it to published, choose what published date. We'll just go with right now. Let's see, my time is a little off. Interesting. All right, and we'll click save. So now I have just created a blog post, or a feed post is a better way of doing it, about our new Bible study. And I might want to put some links or something in there, but it was that easy to create that. And now I can link to this page from other pages. Now this doesn't show up, this post doesn't show up in my navigation anywhere. It doesn't even show up under pages. It does show up under posts, which is the second thing. And it does this so that you can manage your feeds better. So you can have multiple feeds, news and announcements, pastor sermons, upcoming Bible studies, things like that. And you can go and manage them and go directly to them from here. So that is feeds. The other thing you can do with feeds is allow for comments. You saw that before. We're not going to go into that too much today. It's not a commonly used feature on church websites. There's not enough traffic to get a lot of discussion. But for some things, for internal things, it could be really good. So if you have a prayer request feed that you make private, people have to log in to participate, but they can ask follow-up questions there. So that's a cool tool. All right, next we're going to close out of there and go to calendar. Calendar is your master church calendar. And like I showed before in settings, you can have various types of calendars. So if I go here to an event and click, oops, I haven't set up any calendars yet. We'll go to the calendars tab. All of them are available to me, but they are all set to nobody, visible to nobody, I should say. All right, we're going to change this one in who can view worship, everyone. Who can view education? Everyone. Who can view fellowship? Everyone. Who can view birthdays? Users can view birthdays, no one else. In fact, I don't even think you can save birthdays under everyone. Yeah, so we'll just say that, visible to users. So you start to see these things. What color should we do? Well, worship should be red, and fellowship should be blue. Education should be, green's a good one for education, kind of learning, the tree of learning kind of thing. All right, we'll just leave that there. Now when I go close out of settings and I go to back to calendar, I can go to new event and say, all right, my new event is worship. I'm going to add that to the worship calendar, and you can add things to multiple calendars if you want. It's going to be in the sanctuary. Let's see. No, I thought they should get a drop-down selector. Okay, what is that? August 5th. I wonder if my Zoom is messing that up. August 5th from 8 a.m. to 9 o'clock, not p.m., a.m. There we go. And this event repeats. All right, actually repeat should be popping up something. I must have messed something up there. All right, well, we'll turn that off for now. And you can also invite people. We haven't gotten into people yet, so I won't do that. And you can set reminders and say, well, let's remind everybody who attends worship, one day before. We'll create the event. And it should show up on my calendar. Uh-oh, weekly pattern is entered. Yeah, there we go. Something paused out on me there. Sometimes zooming in like this hides some things, but okay, well, every single week on Sundays and no end, one day before, I'll just go with that and create the event. Oops, except I didn't fill out the other details again. Of course this happens during a live webinar. All right, worship, sanctuary, August 5th at 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Event repeats every single week on Sunday with a one-day reminder. Create event. And that should work. There we go. So you've now seen me create an event 3 times with my own little errors in there. That always happens when I'm live. And you can see the details that show up. One of those things is because I'm logged in, I can now say, I'm going to this event. And once I say I'm going to this event, I can change my reminders. So it says remind me one day before, and participants are Peter Frank down there. I can add comments to the event and say, looking forward to it. Post that in there, and other people can see that now. So you get some interaction on events going, but there's more to it than just that. So before I go too much farther, it's a good time to talk about users, because you see I'm starting to participate. Now, right now I'm the only user, so there's not going to be much back and forth between me, myself, and I. But if I go into users, that next tab up there, which now we've hit almost every tab. Actually, we did hit activity briefly with comments. Under users, you can add more people. Now, if you're using our church management software, you can sync and have those users show up, or you can go and add people one by one, which for a large church is a lot of work, or you can import from a template, and the template makes things very fast. Now, I'm not going to get into that today, but I am going to say John Doe, and let's see, John Doe at cph.org, one of our great workers here. All right, John Doe, and now he is selected. And that's just by default, because now I want to change his role. Just because I've added him in here doesn't mean that he's been invited. But if I change the role and say, go to a user, then John would be able to log in and look at the members only pages. If I said he's a publisher, he can not only log in and see all the pages, he can also edit the content. If I say he's a designer, he can edit the content and the look and feel of the site. And if I say he's an administrator, he can do everything just like me. I'm just going to say he's a user. I'm going to update. And now he has been invited. Now you can upload 100 people at a time. I forget what the limit is. It goes a little bit slower on the upload the longer you have, or the larger the list you have, but it's pretty straightforward. Then you can invite them all at once to be users. So when your site's ready to go, you're ready to start inviting your members, upload your list, invite them all, put in their email addresses in. Again, that can be imported, and it'll send out an invitation to them. So that's how you build up a database of users. Now, the next thing I want to show before we get into to groups, if I go here under users and I go to members, I get a member directory. There's John Doe and Peter Frank. Now, if you're using our church management software, it groups it by household. But if you're using just the standalone Unite, it groups it by person. And you can search for it, and you can click on people's names. So I'll click on my name there. I can edit my own profile, or I, as an administrator, can edit others. Individuals can all edit their own profiles just as users. So you can fill in new contact information. Maybe like that's my work email, not my phone email. If I go to my work number and type that in, I don't want to list that, but I want the church to know. And then I click update profile. So I can start keeping the church informed of my contact information and any changes with that, and choose who sees it. So it's a very powerful tool from that standpoint. But let's go to the next thing. We talked about before, what was the name of that Bible study that we had? I should remember this. It's a new title, it just came out though. Faith that sees through the culture. That's a long one. All right, so I'm gonna go to add page and click this third one, which is group. And I'll say Faith Bible Study. Now it gives me a link here, and when I click on that link, I'm taken to a new page. Now, group pages are like pages, but they have their own navigation. So they're almost like a site within a site. So if I go to Faith Bible Study, you can see I have my own discussion board, my own events view, so a complete calendar just for this Bible study group, a member directory for the group, and group settings and membership settings. If I go to edit this group, I can add a description. I can even add pages. So I could say study materials. Oops, I should also spell it right. So there's my study materials page. I'll save that, click on the check. That shows up over here. I can even change the permission levels of all my pages, and I can get even more finely grained than just public or private, draft or published. I can say, all right, turn off these two features, discussion and events. If you don't use them, turn them off. I can say only group leaders see these pages, or group members see these pages, or anyone in Unite can see these pages, or anyone anywhere can see this. So this home page for my Bible study can be public. My discussion board can be for only group members. My events can be for all Unite users, and my members list could be available only to my group leaders. We don't need to show everybody's contact information to everybody. So you can set different levels for different pages, and we'll go ahead and update the group. Now, I just added a page a few minutes ago. That didn't show up on the list because I hadn't updated the site yet. I hadn't saved those changes. But I could do that as well. So I could create like a downloads page where only people who paid the registration fee can get the downloadable Bible study, but then they can go and do it in a secure location. So groups are very powerful. All right, the last thing I want to show, and I'm almost out of time, so I've timed this pretty well. The last thing I want to show is mailing lists. So one of the things you can do in a group is you can go to members and say, email the entire list. And what this will do is this will send a trigger to your computer that opens up your default email client. Now, I already closed mine in Outlook, so it may take a second for that to pop up, or it may not pop up because I have it closed. There we go. So this gives me a very unique URL or email address. Oops, we'll close all those extra things. Oh no, too much. I double clicked it too many times. So I now have a unique email for that group, which is just that collection of email addresses. And I can send this email to them, and it'll relay to their email accounts from mine, but it won't be a to-all thing. Everybody gets their own individual email, so a reply all just goes right back to the sender. So you don't have those very uncomfortable email chains that people just keep responding to, even if you can't respond yourself or can't participate. So Email relay is a powerful tool, and that can be used in a mailing list. If you go to users and mailing lists, I can create mailing lists based on any combination of users, groups, or other lists. So I can say, Bible study. When I click Bible study, I can choose which people or which group. I don't have any other list yet. Everyone's not a real list. And say, okay, Peter Frank likes to learn about Bible studies. And then I can say all lists. And see, I can put the Bible study list in there. So you start creating this hierarchical structure of lists and groups and people, and they can be interchanged. And it works out really well to get just the right audience for each email. All right, I have gone through a lot. We are at 2:51, which means I probably spoke a little bit fast. I've got a couple questions in here. Uh-oh, it says sound dropped. Hopefully it came back up there. Sorry about that. Yeah, I got questions afterwards. So let me get to those questions in just a moment, but I'm gonna switch back to my PowerPoint to give you a few details before we get into the Q&A. So if you haven't already started your free 30-day trial, I recommend you do that right now. Go to 360unite.com and click that start free trial, because it's a lot of fun to play around with this and start imagining how this could be done at your site. And maybe not just by you, maybe you're just helping make the decision, but somebody else is going to be updating it. And so if you see how easy it is, you can tell them, well, it's so easy, anyone can do it, and you're skilled, so go ahead and you try it. All right, so if you order by August 31st, you can save $100. Let me talk a little bit about our pricing structure, because that always comes up. Here, we'll go back to our website. We make our pricing very transparent. One of the things that I really don't like when I buy software is when they say, well, talk to us, we'll tell you a price. I like to be very transparent about the pricing. And we offer some discounts depending on who you are. So we have 3 different plans. We have standard, advanced, and premium. All of the plans allow you access to all of the themes, all of the layouts, all of the support. I didn't even show you our help center. We've got a fantastic help center with lots of great articles. You can have as many pages as you want. The differences start to come in when you talk about domains, your website address. That custom domain of www.mychurch.com costs some additional money, so we include that with the higher plans. You can go out and buy it elsewhere, or we offer it at a fee of $29.99 a year. Now, that is a little bit pricey in the marketplace, but what that includes is us managing it for you. So we'll take care of setting it up. We'll guarantee that it points to your Unite website. If you buy through us, we'll make sure it works. And we'll also remember to pay the bill on time for you. We'll bill you as that part of that Unite collection, but you don't have to ever worry about your bill or your domain, your URL turning off. So that's why we charge a little bit more for it. We do offer email addresses, and I see here that Timothy had that question. Do you offer email addresses associated with the site? Yes, that could be part of the package. Now that's a little bit pricier as well. So we only include that with the premium plan. That's $80 a year for a set of 10 email addresses. So you can buy that with any plan, and we'll take care of setting that up for you. Now, you can get that elsewhere. Like I said, that's a little bit pricey, but it includes us managing it for you. And so that way you don't have to be the person when new email addresses need to be added or set up. You can just have them talk to us, or you can talk to us, and we'll take care of that management. So it is an option. It's not a requirement. It is available in the highest premium plan or available for purchase separately. Now, the differences between those, besides those 2 things, are the number of administrators. With our standard plan, you can get 2. With our advanced plan, you can get 6. With our premium, you can have as many as you want. Same with storage. With our advanced plan, you can have 2 gigabytes, which is very generous. Unless you're doing a lot of large media, 2 gigabytes is very much doable. With advanced, you get 10, and with premium, you get unlimited. So that premium is really, if you want to have a really big website with lots of people, it's not commonly purchased because a lot of churches don't need that much. And so that's why we have these limits on the other ones, but we have a lower price point. Now, one thing that is a key part of any purchase price is our startup fee, which is normally $199, and that includes all of your onboarding to get started. We set up your account. We'll work with you to get everything set up to be looking right. We don't do custom design, but we work with you to use our tools. And then we'll team you up with an onboarding specialist who will train others on your how to use the site. So anybody that you need trained, you work with us, we'll get them trained for you. So you don't have to worry about all that. So for $99 through August 31st, that's a pretty good deal. So that's what that promotional price is for, is that startup fee. It's normally $200 or $199. We cut it down to $99 through the end of August. All right, so let me go ahead and put my information back up on the screen, as well as our software consultants. These guys can help you get set up. They'll answer any questions that you have, give you a personalized demo. You can reach out to them with the information provided, or if you start a free trial or request a live demo, they'll be reaching out to you as well. All right, let's get into some of these question answers, and I'll leave this up on the screen while I look at these. All right, so all right, Rick is saying, I believe that was Rick. It comes across as Ronald, but I think you said it was Rick. There you go. We are not just starting from scratch and have another website. We want to use 360 because of the support and the ability to tie Shepherd staff. Can we copy some of what we have on the other site to our new site? Absolutely. The design, depending on what you're using, may not be replicated entirely, but to copy content and images, that's really easy to do. The other thing, if you want that tie into Shepherd staff, we'll have some people who have a website that they've already set up and use this as the kind of internal website. And so it'll look similar. It won't necessarily look exactly the same, but you'll say that is our members only site. And you may not have anything public except for the homepage, which just directs people to sign in. So you've got some options there, but yes, a lot of it can copy over. The design tools are very strong. If you have somebody who's talented in web design, they can make it look as similar as possible. So a lot of options there, but to get that tie into Shepherd staff, Unite is a very good choice. All right, Timothy, you have a question about storage limits, but then I saw you followed up with said those are answered. So I will ask that again, or answer that question for those of you who were wanting to know what he said. He said, what storage limits are there currently? I maintain only 6 months of sermons due to space available. Depending on whether it's video or audio, you may or may not have enough space with that first plan, but that's why we have those different plans, including the unlimited plan, because storage space capping you off can be really restrictive. And you said, would a vlog use available space quickly? And absolutely it would. Premium, you wouldn't have to worry about it. But if you're doing something, vlog, for those of you who are unfamiliar with that term, is video blog. If you were doing something through Vimeo or YouTube, you could use them to store your videos and embed them in your site. We've got several people who do that, and it loads faster because it's coming from 2 separate servers at once, the YouTube or Vimeo server and our servers for the website. The only problem is you have to watch out for ads at the end. So that could be a challenge, but yes, you can absolutely upload it, and depending on what plan, you might have enough, or you should have enough. So Gertrude is asking the cost of Unite. I just went through that a moment ago, so hopefully that answered your question. And are there any other church sites that you manage that we can look at? Absolutely. One of the ones that I like to point to, because it's a large national site, is Lutheran Women's Missionary League. So if you go to lwml.org, this is a custom theme that we worked with them on, but their entire website is based off of Church360 Unite. And they've done a number of different things. Like I said, we've added some customizations for them at a fee, but I like to point to them because they are a big national organization who's using this tool, and they really like those interaction features. So that's one that I would point to. Your software consultant can point you to several others. We usually like to find out what you're looking for and hand pick a few to display. So yes, we can absolutely share more with you. The other thing you can do right off the bat is if you go to our themes page on our website, you can see some of these other sites that we've made to give you an idea of the possibilities. And these didn't have custom coding. They had custom images, but they didn't have any custom coding done to them. All right, so I think that answers our questions, which is good because I'm just about out of time. So let me go right back here to our screen with my contact information, with our software consultants. Please feel free to reach out to us with any questions that you might have. I hope that Church360 Unite is a good solution for you. I hope you enjoyed the presentation today. But if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. And again, I would encourage you, if you're looking to get started, do so by the end of August to take advantage of that special promotion. So thank you again for joining me today, and have a great rest of the day.